Manchester City 3, Manchester United 1. For me personally, another very painful afternoon. I'm going to get into Manchester City. I'm going to talk about their qualities. I'm going to talk about some of their frailties as well, which I think Liverpool and Arsenal will be looking at. But as a Man United fan first, some people may take issue with the title of this live stream, that I say United crumble. And the reason that I say United crumble is because it can't really knock us for the Phil Foden goal. The second goal was a wonderful 1-2. It took us apart. But after that, losing 2-1, as bad as we are, as poor as we are, as good as Manchester City, we then capitulated, lost all ability to try and maintain possession, create some opportunities. We then concede a very sloppy, awful third goal, which creates a scoreline which is bordering upon the embarrassing. The performance, and look, I know there's a lot of people out there that are still backing Erik ten Hag. Fair play to you. That's your prerogative. But you know what really frustrated me today? There was a plan. There was an approach, and that was to sit in a block, a low block, and counter-attack, or the modern-day phrase, play on the transition. And although we only had 2 shots on goal the whole game, and we only had 1 shot on target, that stat reads really poorly. But for the first time ever in a game, I actually noted every single time Man United had a counter-attack. We had 10 throughout the course of the whole game, 5 of which came in the first 28 minutes. And I'll break them down more when I get onto the City part. But I watched it and thought, at least I saw what the plan was. But my issue with the way we set up today, the way we played today, is that it goes completely and utterly against what Ten Hag has been trying to do. So some of you may turn around and say to me, well, Terry, you're being a hypocrite here. You said that you like managers to have plan Bs. I do. But I want the plan A to work 9 times out of 10 in other games, and it doesn't. What he has tried to turn Manchester United into, his style of play, whatever he and the board have agreed to, is an absolute crock of crap. Today, we revert to being a transition team, and we do an okay job 75 or so minutes of the game. But then, of course, once you lose a little bit of confidence, it falls apart. And I can't help but just sit there. And as I'm sort of dragging through the ruins, sniffing around the carcass of my once great club, the only word that keeps popping into my mind is identity. Identity. What are we? And today was embarrassing, not just the 3-1 defeat, not just the sheer golfing quality between Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, and my team, but the fact that we don't even have, and Fabregas was called out for it the other day, at least under Ollie, there was a way to try and play, and it was sit back, absorb, and generally speaking, we were quite devastating on the counter-attack. But we've gone away from being a counter-attacking team, so we're not that good at it anymore. Today, we had 10 counter-attack opportunities. I'll read them out, actually. The first one came in the 5th minute. Garnacho could have squared it to Rashford. He didn't. The second one came in the 8th minute. Rashford's goal, by the way, beautiful. The takedown from Bruno, hold-up play, plays it in, sweet strike, one of the best goals you'll ever see him score. The third counter-attack came in the 16th minute. Rashford went through, should have headed the ball down, didn't, messed up. The fourth came 23rd minute. Rashford could have volleyed, but he missed the ball completely. The 5th came 28th minute. Casemiro wins the ball, plays it out to McTominay on the left, should have cut it back across to his right, but goes on the outside, loses the ball. The 6th came on the 45th minute. Bruno to McTominay messed it up. The 7th came on the 48th minute, just at the beginning of the second half. McTominay on the right-hand side should have got a much better cross into Rashford that was free in the middle, couldn't find him. The 8th counter-attack came on the 55th minute. Rashford went down too easy, in my opinion. Foden goes up the other end and scores. The 9th came on the 75th minute. Anthony should have found Garnacho. He was clear, just a ball over the top, and he was through clean on goal, didn't find the pass. And then the 10th came on the 79th minute. Garnacho through, really good tackle from Ederson. So although statistically it will only show 2 shots, 2 chances in that regard, there was multiple counter-attack opportunities. And I'm not surprised we didn't capitalize because we don't play counter-attack football anymore. And that's the problem I have with this manager. You either got to have a system where you go, right, we're going to play a different way depending on which team we're up against. We did that quite well last season. Or you stick to a style. And if it isn't working in a game, you might change it in the moment. But we are so poor. We have no plan. We have no identity. I'm embarrassed. I'm genuinely embarrassed. And look, I am so looking forward to the summer as a Man United fan because I can't wait for a new board to come in, new football decision makers. I hope a new coach comes in. A number of these players have got to leave. Whether they're good enough or not, I don't even want to get into that debate. It's irrelevant. They're jaded. They're tarnished by the rot and the toxicity at this football club, and they have to go. They have to be moved on. Each and every single one of them has to be gone. There's no doubt about it. Loads of people. And we really need to start that process sooner rather than later. Because it's just painful to watch. And yes, I am looking at the individual game in itself. And by the way, I think we had the right approach today. There was no point being open and expansive. But it just shows how bad Ten Hag's tenure has been. That we're the better part of 2 years into it. And he has to revert back to Ollie football, nearly 2 years into it, nearly £500 million investment into his players. We can't play out from the back. We have no real patterns, no real consistency in how we attack. The players are devoid of confidence as soon as something goes wrong. And it is a damning statement for not only the manager's reign, but how we've been run, the direction the football club has been going in. Now, in isolation to today, losing 3-1, some Man United fans probably would have taken that before the game kicked off. We were in it until quite late. I don't mind as bad as we are playing in a low block and counter-attacking. I'm not moaning about doing it today, in case any silly people in the back are misinterpreting it in that way. I just viewed it very much as, what are we? We're nothing. We're absolutely nothing. We are lost. We are a lost soul. We really are. And watching City know who they are, so many quality players, watching Arsenal progress in the last 2 years, looking at Liverpool, who are in a crisis of injuries themselves, still look dangerous, still be potent, still winning trophies, still top of the league. So much of it is because of identity. And people will attack Rashford, they'll attack Bruno, some will attack Casemiro. I'm over it. I'm over it because if you cannot see that how we operate as a club has led to the demise of the players, the coaches, everything, it's so much needs fixing. And I know that all already, but it was just the way we tried to play counter-attack football today. We just regressed 3 or 4 years. And if this is, hindsight's obviously lucrative, we may as well have just kept Ollie and just carried on playing counter-attack football. But we started to build a team that isn't really right for transitional football. We don't have enough power. We don't have enough speed. You go back to when we were doing it well under Ollie, when you had Martial at his pomp, Rashford loving it. You had obviously, Cavani wasn't fast, but he had that know-how and he had power. We had Pogba in the team, Bruno when he was fresh. There was just more energy, and we're just not there anymore. And look, it's City deserved it, 110%. They did, and I'll get onto them in a few moments. But it's hard to review it as a game because we take nothing from the performance because we're not going to play like this in the next game. I don't even think anything from the goal. The goal was great, but there's nothing about the only thing I would say was a positive. I thought young Mainu looked particularly calm as and when we had possession. I so hope that we get it right at the club to help young players like him be nourished and to grow and to develop. I really, really do. In terms of Manchester City, look, City are phenomenal. Scary isn't a big enough word for how good they are. The potency, the venom that they have is extraordinary. And I want to single out Phil Foden right at the start of talking about them because everyone knows I'm a big fan of Saka. Very good player for Arsenal, top-class player for Arsenal. one of the best young players for my country in many, many years. I love watching him in an England shirt. But there's a reason why I say that I put Phil Foden above him. And it's nothing to do with ability. It's always been to do with the fact that what we have seen today in the title race, we've seen from Phil Foden many times. Stepping up and scoring the quality of brace he did from a losing position in a Manchester derby in a title race where your team is behind the league leaders with Arsenal breathing down your neck. That is, I've spoken about this on so many shows. I'm so glad we're seeing it in real time. Ability is a big area that you compliment a football player on. Somebody's statistics and their consistency and their delivery of output is also massive. But how they stand up and be counted, their clutch moments in title runs, major cup runs, European roads to glory, that stuff is what separates the stats and the ability with genuine legacy in the game. And you saw it from Phil Foden today, the way he stepped up and made himself be counted. Because I know he got a goal in the end, Erling Haaland, but that miss from him could have been such a pivotal moment in this season. Should be burying that every single day of the week. But it was Foden again. And in the last 5 to 8 weeks, Phil Foden has been the man for Manchester City in terms of getting them over the line. They had the structure behind them with Rodri, the goalkeeper, the excellent defense. But they just Foden. He's just been absolutely phenomenal. He doesn't get the praise of a KDB, doesn't get the praise of a Haaland, the praise of a Rodri, and he absolutely deserves to because he is world-class, in my opinion. He absolutely is. In every single category that you can be world-class in for his position, his touch, his half-turn, his outputs, his goal-scoring ability, his clutch, his literal technical ability is through the roof, and he's been pivotal in winning every single trophy that a club player can win. That, for me, makes you world-class. And he's so young still. What a career he's had. And it pains me as a United fan to say it, but he was absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal today. And again, the only silver lining in it is he's another Englishman and he plays for my country. So at least sort of 10 times a year, I genuinely get to enjoy watching him play when he's on my side. But yeah, look, City. Scary, devastating, potent. The title race is absolutely phenomenal. I'm sure Arsenal will win tomorrow night against Sheffield United. That last-minute win for Liverpool yesterday is going to feel even sweeter to the Scousers right now because of what happened. And look, I think most people expected Manchester City to win today. And for a large part of the afternoon, there was a lot of hope in Liverpool, a lot of hope in Arsenal that some points may be taken off of them. But United just didn't have it in us. We just did not have it in us in any way, shape, or form. And yes, we've got our own injuries. And yes, we're having to play Lindelof at left back. And it isn't great at all. And as I said in the opening of this, I wasn't bothered. I actually think we played the way I wanted us to today. Really low block and tried to counter-attack. But I had sort of an epiphany. Not an epiphany, that's probably the wrong word. But just had a thought during the game of, wow, we really are bad, aren't we? The fact that we just don't even know how to play transitional football because we don't even know what we're doing out there. Like the lack of plan and idea. Like we played that way now for the rest of the season. Towards the end of the season, the players would start to get it and they'd start to probably win some games doing that. And I don't know. It is what it is. And I tweeted about it. I just can't wait for the summer because you do get to wipe your mouth of what's happened before. We do start again. There is going to be a genuine rebuild at the club. It may not work, but at least there's some hope that it may. Because continuing doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is quite literally the definition of insanity. And that's where United have been for 10 years. And look, City are the benchmark. City are the best team in the world. They're most people's favourites to win the league. I am still sticking with what I said yesterday. Just with the way Liverpool are winning, I'm just slightly favouring them to win it right now. Got that 1 point lead. And what I will say about City, though, is when it comes to the title race, is the vulnerability in them. And there is a vulnerability in them, as I noted. I've never done this in a game. And you should start doing this. And whether it's counterattacks against you or how many times X, Y, or Z happens, it doesn't matter. I wanted to note down how many times City were vulnerable against counterattacks today. And I noted it was 10 times. 10 times Man United counterattacks. Now, only twice did we get a shot off. But most of the time, that was our poor final ball or our poor first touch. Liverpool and Arsenal, they play in if Arsenal get the counter-attack opportunities Man United did today, they'll beat them. If Liverpool get the counter-attack opportunities at Anfield next week, is it next week you play them? I think it's next week. They beat them. I genuinely mean that. And I noted, I listed them earlier, I listed them again. 10. I wrote them all down, and even what happened within them. And most of the time, it was our poor final ball or a poor first touch when a player was in a goal-scoring opportunity. Arsenal, Liverpool, Villa, Spurs. I would look at all four of those teams. I would say comfortably score 2 or 3 goals today against Man City. And that's why this title race is so amazing. City have got that vulnerability. Liverpool have these injuries. Arsenal are probably the best footballing team of the 3 right now, but don't have the experience of winning. A little bit of jeopardy on each, and it's going to be amazing to cover as a football fan. It's going to be painful to cover as a United fan. Now, I was sitting there at 1-0 thinking, oh, God, I really want to beat them today. And then I was sitting there thinking, but that'll make the Scousers happy. That'll make the Gooners happy. I was sitting there, and I don't know. I just felt, honestly, I felt like, I don't even know how to explain it. I was sitting there thinking, I'll be happy to win, but then 2 of my biggest rivals are going to be happy. It's just a painful place to be. Honestly, it's the worst. It is the worst. It really is. Panel coming very, very soon. This year says Toothless United. I guess we got to do the dirty work. I don't know who you support, but if you're a Liverpool or an Arsenal fan, yeah, you relying on Man United is a madness, bruv. Because Man United fans don't rely on us, so you shouldn't. United in and out of possession are shocking. We know we are. Absolutely right. Inconsistent decisions, cheating. Ref wanted City to win. Look, the tackle from Ederson on Garnacho. If an attacker does that on the goalie, it's a foul. If an attacker does that on a defender, it's a foul. They'll say excessive force. Goalies get away with it. Was Rashford fouled? Probably not. If an attacker does that to a defender, is a foul given? Absolutely. But I don't think that's an inconsistency within this game. That's an inconsistency within football at large. So it is what it is. You know, I think the referee today pretty much got his decisions correct everywhere. Had us believing in the first half, Terry, shaking my head. Yeah, I still didn't. I'll be honest with you, I didn't. When are we going to speak about Doku? When Pep took him off, Foden went to the left and you got ripped apart. Doku is terrible and no one admits it. Started well. He's been really poor of late. He really, really has. But he is young and he definitely needs time to adapt to the Premier League. But I still think you can criticize his performances. But remember, when a team's doing well, a team is winning, a team's at the top, you never see the same level of criticism for poor performances as you would if a team's sitting 8th or 11th or 15th, because that's just not the way the world works. Rashford footballing ability gone with that shot. Look, I said I'm not going to go overly hard on any player or overly praise any player at Man United. There's a reason, though, that all of our players regress. And it's to do with how poor we're run, how bad we're drilled, and how poorly we're coached. And that's not just a dig at Ten Hag. That's been the case for 10 years. It's just awful. When there are teams with much lesser players who pass and move the ball and are more comfortable in possession, I look at the coaching. Always have done, always will. United were robbed of their masculinity. Rashford versus the low decisions. Ederson not in control. I'd love to know what you mean by that. Yeah, I mean, their decision-making wasn't great, but I'd love to, yeah, it is what it is. I don't quite know what you mean by the versus the low. You should hear Goldbridge going on about how the ref screwed United regarding the Rashford's foul and the Ederson 2-footed clearance. Look, listen, Mark Goldbridge is entitled to his opinion. I'm gonna say it this way. The tackle a few weeks ago on a Man United player, and it actually hurt him. And the goal, he won the ball first and followed through and took him out. And everyone said no foul. And I said, you'll see a red card for an outfield player. The following weekend, identical, wins the ball, follows through, gets sent off. They're just never given. On Rashford, a few people have sent me links saying he clipped his leg. We only saw one angle, so I'm looking at it now. Does clip his leg a little bit. But again, Rashford can stay on his feet there. You know, it wasn't a big enough. Yeah, I don't know. I disagree. I disagree with Goldbridge on that one. United have senior players. We drew with them twice, 4-4 and 2-2. So if our kids are that bad, what's our United seniors? People want to remind us about the final, but I think it's fair to say Chelsea and Liverpool have decent academies, though we lost. Look, I mean, I respect the super chat, and I mean, if Chelsea fans are taking a victory out of this today, fair enough. If Chelsea fans want to take a victory out of this, fair play to you. You did get 2 good draws against. Did you draw 2-2? Was it 1-1 recently? Was it 1-1 at the Etihad or 2-2? I thought it was 1-1. Anyway, I mean, yeah, you got 2 draws against them. Fair play to you. If that, yeah, it is what it is. I don't know what else to say to you other than you've had better results against City than us this year, and I can't disagree with that. But thank you. Whatever United had possession. Whenever United had possession, City's half, they went backwards when the pass forward was on. It was annoying, got annoying quickly. They were afraid to lose the ball. Of course, they were afraid to lose the ball. They're not being drilled right. I don't know what they're doing. Chelsea and United are 2 sides of the same coin. Rashi with a banger and then nothing else. Weak. The problem with it is Rashford's a very good transition player, but the team ain't coached to play transition. The system doesn't work. He isn't a playmaker. So we're trying to make him do things he's not good at. Now, that isn't a defense of him. He should be criticized for not being good at that. But why put somebody in a position where you're asking him to do something they're not good at? Look at Arsenal. I'll use an example of Arsenal. Kiwior for a number of weeks was being inverted and he was awful at it. So what does his manager do? Well, let's not invert him. Let's let him just fucking defend. And how much better have Arsenal been since they stopped putting a square peg in a round hole? Man United's biggest issue is we keep asking players, and that's not a defense of Rashford. It's just a fact. Do things they're not good at. You don't put Scott McTominay in a DM position. He ain't good at it. You don't put Lindelof at left back. He ain't very good at it. But we persist at this club with asking people to do jobs they are not capable of completing. And if you have a player who's got a particular skill set and you're not going to play in a way that utilizes that skill set, you sell them. But we don't do that either. We hang on to people that are surplus to requirements all the time. And that's why we never create a style of play that produces consistent results, because we don't have the personnel to do it. And then we don't drill right. So there is a personnel issue. Then we don't do enough that whatever we're trying to play with those players doesn't work. Then the players lose faith in it and it all falls apart. We've done it 5 managers running. That's why I'm just beyond now. I'm even beyond manager in and manager out debates, player in, player out debates. They're just pointless at this stage when we don't know what we want to be. How do we really know? Just forget the names of the players because it triggers people. How do you know who we should and shouldn't keep when we have no idea how we're going to play football next year? Doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? You need to know what you want to be. We don't. That Rashford sub for Anthony cost them the game. Maybe it did. Maybe it didn't. Rashford looked exhausted, so I think he had to come off. How the mighty have fallen, playing like Stoke City. Yeah, we have, and of course it's embarrassing, and that's why. You know, I had an argument the other day with a fan of Brighton who DM'd me and says, "How dare you think you should be challenging for titles? That's an elitist mentality." Said, no, we spend more than anybody else. I expect a team that spends more than City and pays more wages than City to compete with City. If we were spending the same as Brighton, I wouldn't expect to be keeping up with City. It's not an elitist mentality. I think it's normal. I think it's a normal way to think. The decline of Man United has been painful to witness. Second half was abysmal, and the players' mindset is in the bin right now. Serious cultural change is needed. And this is where I'll defend the players. And a lot of people won't like it, but I will. I feel sorry for the players to a degree. Not they earn millions, they're rich, they've got great lives. But I feel sorry for them on a professional level because some of them have gone through a situation where in the last 5 years, they've had to try and play 3 different styles of football, and all of them have been poor. And it's awful. I can't imagine being in their minds. Like, we all watched Amrabat at the World Cup. We all saw what Amrabat was doing for Fiorentina and how good he looked, how press resistant he was. Comes to Man United, he looks like Lee Cattermole. It's crazy. Look at Ericsson. The man died, came back to life, came to the Prem, was balling for Brentford. Balling. He comes on now, looks like Jasper Blomqvist. It's the truth. Genuinely, it's the truth. It is. We are literally kryptonite to football players. It's a madness. My goodness, that was a spiteful, aggressive performance by City. They are back to their very best. I don't think they are back to their very best, if I'm being honest with you. They leak still against us multiple counter-attack opportunities. A better team that can counter-attack hurts them. And they had a couple of big chances before they scored, but most of those 27 shots weren't from great positions. They weren't peppering the goalkeeper at large parts. And United are awful. So I wouldn't say that City are at their absolute best. That's my humble opinion. Still one of the best teams in the world, though. Still got levels that can go up. Tactics gone wrong for Ten Hag. Of course they've gone wrong. It's gone wrong. Man United counter-attacks got down to someone catching up with them, and they just didn't have the physicality to win the one-on-ones, so they passed it back. Well, of course they don't have the physicality, because you have to train a specific way to be a good transitional team. It's a different type of fitness. And I can explain that this way. I used to be a fairly high-level kickboxer, and our level of fitness was different to football players and rugby players. And what used to happen at our academy is that every now and then we used to get local football teams or rugby teams would come in and do some training sessions with us. And these guys were professionals, and they would last 10 minutes doing our warm-up sessions, and they'd be blowing out their asses, exhausted. The same as if I went and did a football training session, my level of fitness was different. So there's different types of fitnesses for different sports, or even within the same sports, depending on how you want to apply your skills. Transitional football requires a very high level of fitness where you're moving around a lot because you're out of possession, but then you've got to have a lot of explosive power. We're obviously not training for that because it isn't how we're trying to play. So it worked for the first 25, 30 minutes, and then the players are dead on their ass. So no wonder they couldn't run in the 60, 70, 80th minute. That's the problem when you have no plan and no identity. 3 points to make you 3 points to make United. Sorry, I'm dumb. 3 points to make United should not have lost that game. Rashford was fouled but not given. Ten Hag's decision to sub Rashford was wrong. Thanks for the super chat, but I do disagree with you on that, my bro. Haaland gets bear hugged, no foul, but others get a foul. Are you talking about that where he was backing his backside into Varane? Never a foul, my friend. Stop. But Terry, we don't have a backup left back and striker. What are we? Listen, but you can't put a man as stiff as Lindelof in that position. What you do is we were already having to open up and we conceded the third goal, but you played the low in the left back role because he's more dynamic. So he can switch onto his weaker foot quicker because he's got more dynamism about him, more agility. And you put Lindelof, by the way, in his career, he's played right back many, many times because he can put the ball onto his strongest foot. If you're going to do it, you at least play the fullback who's a fullback out of position, who has more athleticism, and you put Lindelof where he's more comfortable. That makes far more sense to me, personally, than having Lindelof on his weak foot in a position where he's too stiff to play. Terry, Chelsea fans have a right to be smug. They are top of the table. Okay, fair enough. It's the bottom half of the table, but let them enjoy it. Yeah, I mean, do you know what's funny? Like, if City fans laugh at me, Arsenal fans laugh, Liverpool fans laugh, it kind of hurts. And they're better than us. When Chelsea fans laugh at me, I just think to myself, I don't get it. It don't make sense. It's weird. I don't get it. Maybe players shit, coach shit, everything shit. Oh yeah. Look, I'm gonna bring out the panel because I've had enough. Do me a favor and hit the like button if you haven't done so yet. Also, check out the squad. Brand new channel that I'm launching. An amazing weekly podcast coming to it with one of the biggest YouTubers in the world. That's all I'm going to reveal right now. You can scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link in the description below. On the show today, who we got here? We got Cameron. We got man like Phil. We got V. We got Rhino. Brandon's here. Hamza's here. KJ is here as well. And so is Deezy. Welcome back, peeps.
You have a cell, Marine.
Yeah. I'm not too sure whose background that is. You mute that for us. That'd be great. KJ, talk to me.
Yo, I didn't actually watch the game. I was out prepping for my big week. You know what the issue is? I told people that I would come and show my face if we lost. So here I am. Guys, this flipping sucks. We suck. But it is what it is. Have a great show, people.
Yeah, KJ's literally in his week preparing to get married, and he had to show his face there because he said he would. I want to go to Phil first. Phil, a poor sorry, I clicked on the wrong person because KJ dropped out. A poor result in the end for United, run out of steam. Give me your thoughts on it, mate.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of negativity and there's going to naturally be. And I do still lean on the fact of the squad availability and stuff like that. I know a lot of people are talking about like sort of what formation, what patterns of play we're playing, and we're not seeing that, and that's clear. And you've said it quite well in your first 20 minutes sort of thing. You mentioned about the fact that we play this formation now, we're not going to do it for the rest of the season. If we did, we might learn to play with it sort of thing. But I think to be fair, we actually surprised everybody who was watching it for the first 35 minutes. The fact that they hadn't pummeled us and put us 3-0 down in the first half. You know, I heard people saying that we'd be lucky if we're still in it at half time sort of thing. And we surprised them. And to be fair, I actually think we could have been 3-0 up. I know you mentioned Rashford, he's missed his chances. So if we'd have been 3-0 up, we'd be having a different conversation right now. If Rashford would have took those chances, the tactics were working. The defence was holding out quite well. They were playing well as a team at the back. And in that first half, I'm surprised to say it, but I stand by it. Ten Hag outwitted Pep in his start. Now I know they dominated. I'm not denying that they dominated. But if you dominate someone and don't break them down, it doesn't make no difference. In that first half, we deserved the lead, and we should have gone in 2 or 3-0 up. I know Haaland's missed right under the post. That you know we can laugh about that, but unfortunately we can't because of what happened in second half. But in the second half, we looked tired. We looked like we'd run out of ideas. That Pep had obviously made changes. That master tactician. He made changes at halftime. He moved Foden to the left, which made a big difference. Foden was looking sharpest in the first half. He was looking the most likely to score. There was no doubt about that. He was by far their best player, and he moved him over to the left, and he kept cutting in from the left, and that's where his goals came from. And he was, at the end of the day, I'm obviously gutted by the result. I did hold hope for quite a while. But I think with the substitute, when you look at the bench that we had to bring on, you look at City's bench, and I know it's about money and everything else, and we say how much we spent. We had Anthony who came on, and I thought, well, maybe, he played quite defensive quite well against Forest the other day. He didn't do that today. We saw that. Perhaps he could have been part of the blame for the goal, not tracking back or whatever. But at the end of the day, our bench was so weak. We had nothing to bring on. He could have perhaps brought Eriksen on, who's a forward-thinking player. We were 2-1 down. If you're going to make that change, make it. You've got nothing to lose. He brought Amrabat on. I'm not quite sure why. So to me, that was the mistake, bringing Amrabat on. Rashford looked shattered. Garnacho looked done about the 65th minute, something like that. Johnny Evans going off changed the game for me. But I know that was 68th minute, and he was carrying an injury before the game started. So gutted with the result. More pleased with the performance and what he expected I was going to get. But overall, it is what it is.
Do you know what I say, Phil? I totally get what you mean. I think first 30 minutes, I wasn't annoyed we played the way we did. But what sort of stood out to me is I'm fine playing this way away from home against better teams than us. But it's got to be something that we do religiously so that we know how to handle it for 90 minutes. And up until Liverpool away this season and then this game today, we've not tried to play like that enough under Ten Hag. And it just felt that we start off well, but once it starts getting on top, there just isn't the know-how because it isn't practiced enough for us to persevere and get through it. And I think for me, that's where the frustration came in. Not that it was the wrong approach today, but I almost felt like, well, your approach hasn't worked, Ten Hag, because we don't even control the ball in the games against smaller teams. Yeah. And now we're doing this. It just feels a mess. If that, I'm looking more bigger picture, if that makes sense. Ironically,
yeah. No, I mean, I think at the end of the day, in that he set up like that, and I think his hand was partly forced. If he'd have had a fully fit squad with all his players available, it would have been interesting to see what team he started with.
Could have opened it up and got beat 5-0.
Well, potentially, and that's it. Would we have done? Would we have, or would we have had a chance? Hoyland would have took 1 or 2 of those chances away. All right, Rashford's goal was a wonder goal. And people say it was a lucky hit. You don't get lucky hits like that. You try it, and sometimes they come off, sometimes they don't. It was a great goal. And after that, he missed those 2 big chances, the head forward and then swinging it at the right post. But at the end of the day, we did miss some key players today. And you're going up against, as you've said, one of the best teams in the world at the moment. And when you look at their bench who they had out there, they had like Kovacic, they had Alvarez who came on, they had Guardiola, Akanji, Mateus Nunes, all players who we would love to be in our team. Didn't even get a minute in that game. So that's the level that we were competing against, and the players that we had, you can't. We've never even heard of half of them before because they're from the development squad. Who, no disrespect to them, but when you're going up against the best in the world, you've got to have your best players available, and we didn't have it today. We tried. We failed. Simple as that. I don't say it's a bad day at the office.
I hear you, mate. Rhino, I mean, what was your take on United today, bro?
Look, I'm with Phil. Honestly, I'm with Phil. Normally, obviously, I always I'm generally upset with Ten Hag as an overall coach anyway. But let's be realistic. We have to look at where United are at. If we're gonna think that we had some hope in the game, then we'll all be called delusional. At the end of the day, we knew City were gonna come. We knew City were gonna dominate. And we knew City were gonna win. So looking at it from Phil's standpoint, it makes sense to me. I thought it was gonna be a lot worse. You know, I'm not surprised City had the ball. I'm not surprised that, we're defending most of the game because that's what was expected. Look at what happens when we play the lower teams. We're just as bad no matter what team we play. So from a standpoint of the first 45 minutes, I'm thinking to myself, oh, this game's not going the way I've expected it. The team seemed to be a bit more defensive and a bit more resolute in the defense. In the defense, there seems to be a bit more cohesion. There seems to be a bit of a mentality there. Varane, I think, played out of his skin as well. So as much as City had the ball, as much as we kind of played the counter-attack football technique, which is the only way we could play, I'm with Phil on this one. I'm not disappointed because I already expected this. The only way I'm going to be upset is if I felt like we could win, and that's where I felt like if we did hold on for the whole 90 minutes, maybe we could have got a draw out of this game. But at the end of the day, like you said, Terry, we don't have the experience to play this way of football for the whole 90 minutes because we don't consistently play it. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with it, man. Yes, I'm disappointed, but at the same time, I always knew we were going to lose. So it's about how we lost. I don't ever want to lose to City. To me, even if we lost like 2-1, I'll still be disappointed because I think a draw is the way we should lose because at the end of the day, there's teams that are lower on paper than us and they still can give City a better game. So why can't we as players? You know what I mean? Why can't we as Manchester United, as the players they are, why can't they do the same, basically? So, yeah, that's where I'm at with it, to be fair.
I hear you, bro. Deezy, we're going to come to City fans in a second. Sofia, thank you for joining us as well. Deezy, what was your take on it, brother?
Bro, I'm completely on the other side of what everybody else has said. I hear what they're saying, and I think it's quite reasonable what they're saying. I disagree wholeheartedly in that this is, I don't know. I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but for me personally, this was nothing short of absolutely disappointing. Well, not disappointing in that I didn't expect the result. Disappointing in that look how far we have fell, bro. We played like Burnley today, bro. They had literally all of the ball. We scored a wonder goal, and after that, we offered maybe 1 or 2 counterattacks, and that's about it. But other than that, we did not look like we were going to win that game. To me personally, even 1-0 up, I'm watching the game. I'm like, look at how beautifully City are passing around us. Look at the intricate passes, the way that they're moving the ball. If they're not creating the opening, they're recycling the ball all the way around us and back again and back again and back again. To me personally, this was prime United versus West Brom. To me, where West Brom fans are like, well, we scored a goal. It's cool. We did what we could, but it is what it is. They were always gonna come and smoke us anyway. To me, that's an indictment on everything that's going on at United. Where we've got 11 games of the season left. We're -2 goal difference, and it stinks. We concede 18 shots on target. Oh, not shots on target. 18 shots every single game. And we have a -2 goal difference. And you decide that CE is the time, we're going to soak up pressure outside of our box and expect to get anything from the game. To me, it just seems illogical to me personally. That's where I'm at with it, to be honest.
Yeah, listen, mate. I'm sort of really caught between a rock and a hard place. I get why we did what we did today, but it just highlighted to me what a bad position we're in. And look, there's a lot of tweets going around from mine where I thought Amrabat was going to be a game changer for us, and I have to hold my hands up and say he's been nowhere near it. But I don't blame Amrabat. I don't. The same as people saying Garnacho's not progressing. Of course he isn't. And by the way, young Manu looks good. But if we continue down this path as a club, give it 12, 18 months, and that young man won't progress. If Phil Foden, 6-7 years ago, came through the Man United Academy, he wouldn't be this Phil Foden. He wouldn't be. KDB wouldn't be this KDB. this is not about individual players anymore. It's a little bit deeper than that. Canadian Cam, talk to us.
I mean, I said last week I wouldn't be upset when we lose this game, so I'm not. I won't echo what everybody says. I'll just take some of the positives that I saw from it. Is I guess at this stage we can stop worrying a little bit about Onana. He's looking better. You know, he is. No, let's be fair to him. Like the guy made some unbelievable saves today. He made some unbelievable passes today. He I'm pretty sure he set off like three of our break chances on his own, right? So that's something when I look at him, like, good. He's starting to at least become, because he's not going anywhere. You're not going to sell a keeper that you just paid X amount. So you have to look at the players that we know are going to be in our squad moving forward. What's the hope there? Like you said, who's not progressing, who is? Well, at least Onana's at least looking like he belongs in the Prem at this stage. So I know people are saying his hand could have been stronger on Foden's second goal. He was so close to him. It's extremely, I mean, people, if you played sport, your reaction, like getting down that quick when a guy's right there is pretty tough. So I'm not going to hate on him for that goal. Phil Foden, I mean, he's been City's best player this year, no? Right? Like, I mean, at the end of the day, the kid's unbelievable. I wonder what England's going to do. I think it's pretty clear he should be starting for that team moving forward. But yeah, that was an impressive display from him. I'm not going to come in here and hate on what I saw, because I was, to be honest, for most of the game, I was very impressed watching him. And like, it's tough watching another team's player and just being like, oh, that'd be nice.
Yeah, I want to ask you a question, because I know you rate him. He scored a wonder goal today, Marcus Rashford, but he's getting a lot of criticism from Man United fans for his overarching performance again, going down when he should have stayed on his feet. And if he'd have done that, maybe Phil Foden doesn't score the equalizer. But what did you make of Rashford today?
Outside of that goal, I mean, the goal was amazing. It was incredible. He got into the right positions. I mean, but he just, like you said, he hasn't been doing this all season, right? Like the whiff on the fast break there, like that should have been at least a shot on target. I do think Ederson would have saved it. He wasn't great. Like, I'm not going to come out here and say Rashford was amazing. But I do think a lot of what you said is true. Like, if you haven't been doing this over and over and over, you don't have that muscle memory. This isn't what you do. And the whole team is kind of like that. The going down, I was upset. I will say that. I truly believe he needed to take another touch, force Kyle Walker to actually foul you, because he would have. I think him going down was it wasn't the cause of the goal, because Lindelof letting Foden go on the inside and have a wide open shot on his left was the cause of the goal. If we're going to be completely honest, Lindelof at left back is like Bruno at right wing. Both things, like, for me, are fireable offenses. I truly believe, like, this is the thing with Ten Hag, I am over it. Like I said it last week, he's doing things where you're like, we know Lindelof at left back doesn't work. I don't know who will work there. I don't know who's in the team, but you know Lindelof doesn't. So just don't do it, right? So with Rashford, to answer your question, he wasn't great today. Like, he wasn't, other than the goal. The goal was incredible, and anybody taking that goal away from him is stupid. Like, that goal was nasty. As soon as he hit it, I was like, that's a goal. You could just, you knew it was a nice goal. And then one more thing, because there's another player who everybody always comes down on, and Bruno did everything everybody expects of him today. He didn't do any of the crazy Hollywood passes. He kept it simple. He recycled the ball. He worked extremely hard. He was making all those runs for those breaks. He did everything everybody wants of him, and no one's speaking of it, because obviously we didn't win the game. But that's what people want from Bruno. I mean, there's a lot of times where I was like, I kind of wish he would have made that Hollywood pass. I kind of wish he would have. But no, he kept it simple. He was safe. You're not hearing about that, right? So I think when you think about how our fan base is with the players they don't like and the players they like I'm seeing dudes out here still defending Pogba and stuff and talking about him. So I don't, like, our fan base is crazy when it comes to deciding when they want to.
I agree. I thought Bruno
he was good
considering the tactics of the team, which was to not have possession. So people saying, oh, you didn't maintain possession. That wasn't the plan today. He did do the right things on the ball. I do wish that Rashford and Garnacho was, I mean, you don't say this word with Bruno very often, but it was composed when they had the ball, when they were isolated, as Bruno was today, even for the goal. Because normally what Bruno does, that ball to McTominay was hard being surrounded by players. Normally he tries to play it, but he didn't. He used his head. So, yeah, Bruno was good today, but it won't get any praise because we lost 3-1. Do you know what I mean? Right. It's one of them. Sofia, how are you?
I'm fine.
Good. What are you here to say today?
I mean, I had the worst anxiety prior to the game. I was thinking this is going to be a horrible Sunday. My Sunday's already finished. And then, when Rashford had that screamer of goal, I lost it. I was thinking, dang, this might be a good game. You never know. But I felt like first half was really good. It looked like we had a proper game plan. We were following it. But then in second half, I felt like with some of the in-game management from Ten Hag, the substitutions wasn't really up to par. So I'll put this more on him. But I do feel like we crumbled at the end. But overall, looking at that first half, it was really good. Onana, even though obviously the goals that we conceded doesn't really reflect it, he had a really good game in my opinion. Probably, arguably, maybe the best game in the Man United shirt, in my opinion. Johnny Evans, wow. Up until he got subbed off, he did his thing. Looked very solid. Varane, Rolls Royce for Varane. That's all we're gonna say. Garnacho, though, I am one of those people that I do like Garnacho, but the kid is still very raw. Has a lot of potential, but he's been overplayed way too much. This is not a kid that should be playing week in and week out. You should be having an Anthony or somebody else to come in there to offload him a little bit, in my opinion. Rashford, I don't think it was bad. He was all right. Incredible goal, but, probably could have had himself a hat trick in some moments, but it is what it is. Other than that, Lindelöf, a little bit shaky here and there. Amrabat, a bit disappointed when he came in and did that. You're a grown man. Didn't really need to do that, brother, but it is what it is. Other than that, it's frustrating how the game ended when you felt like we could have left it with something.
The crazy thing for me is I agree that the third goal hurt me. It was like, because now the scoreline, here's how bad my club is and how far things have fallen. I was like, I'm gutted to lose, but 2-1, it's respectable. And then you start thinking, Jesus. Before I go to the City fans, and we're going to touch on some of the topics that the audience is talking about. Brandon, obviously, as a Gooner, for 50, 60 minutes, there was hope.
There was hope, Tel. I'm disappointed. You let us all down. I was praying all week that Man United weren't shit for just one weekend. So I was a bit like, I was frustrated. And from a neutral's perspective, I'm frustrated watching Man United. I really am. I mean, you guys say that Bruno had a good game today. Maybe I was watching a different game. Because I think we all know that the issues at Man United. We all know that, the manager has to go at some point. He's a big part of the issues. But if I'm Sir Jim Radcliffe and I'm Ineos, I'm looking at Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes, because they're two of your highest earners. And all I see is petulant, babyish behaviour on the football pitch. I mean, like you guys pointed out, Rashford could have had a hat-trick today, right? You're going down with Kyle Walker with a little tug on your arm and you're throwing your arms around like an absolute petulant baby. He's gone off the pitch with apparent fatigue, right? But I didn't really see the guy working too hard. I think from a positive aspect, if you're a Man United fan, you can look at today and go, well, for large parts of the game, we defended really, really well. I don't think there was a single, defensive error that was made. I thought Onana probably had one of his best games in a Man United shirt. And the only thing that undone you in the end was Man City's just extra quality. So it weren't like you had a poor defensive display. But I look at your front three. I look at Bruno Fernandes behind them. What did they actually offer as an outlet? Like every time Bruno picked the ball up, wrong decision, wrong pass. When Rashford's going through or Garnacho, he plays the wrong pass. He plays it too safe. Then you've got Rashford going through on goal. Should have 3 goals today. He should. It's embarrassing, really. And then you got Garnacho. You can kind of let him off the hook a little bit, but he offered nothing going forward. Defensively, okay, fair enough. But is this really what Manchester United's come to? Like, come on, man.
You're right about all of that. The only thing I'm going to defend my club on here is Bruno. Because those 3 chances you've mentioned that Rashford should have scored were all set up by Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah, but he also he had a few other opportunities where it was 2v2 or 3v2, and there was chance for Bruno to play the ball through, and instead he plays it backwards to Casemiro.
That's instruction. That's instruction.
I understand that. But where I'm going to defend Bruno on this particular case is when he tries every time to play the ball through, people say, stop trying to play it through every time, try and maintain some possession. And there were times in the game where we did need to hold on to the ball for a minute or two, because although you might score on that counter-attack, you have to try and take the pressure off your back line, and you do that by maintaining possession. So everything you've said spot on. I just think Bruno today, in terms of us playing in the transition, I think he did his job correctly. What we didn't have right today was Rashford taking his chances, and Garnacho and mainly McTominay, those two messed up 4 or 5 counterattacks each, where if the through ball is right, we probably score, or at least we get a shot on target. And I think that's why, if you're a Gooner watching this or a Liverpool fan watching this, dare I say, you should probably be looking at City right now thinking we've got a real chance, because everybody's getting these counter-attack opportunities against them. We just didn't have the quality to hurt them enough today. But you guys, Liverpool, you could really beat them up.
No, 100%. I agree with that. I've said that about City most of the season anyway. They're vulnerable defensively. We've seen that, and better teams will score or create chances against them. So, from that aspect, you kind of look at City and think, normally defensively is where City tend to win the league. But I'm looking at them at the moment thinking, yeah, you guys can be got at. And yeah, okay, they've got the quality up front. They're always guaranteed to score goals. No problem whatsoever with Kevin De Bruyne, Haaland, Foden as well now, coming up with the goods. But defensively, they definitely can be got at. But, again, I'll go back to the point, like, them two players, Marcus Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, they've got to be offering more to Man United. They have. They're your two of your highest earners. They need to offer more.
I don't think people are going to disagree with that. I want to throw it out to the United fans. Like, Rhino, like when you hear that the Brunos and Rashfords and others need to offer more, what do you think it's down to that so many players in this team right now, whether you think they're the best players in the world or you think they're awful, they're all performing below their level? What do you think is the catalyst for that?
I don't know, man. It's hard to tell, man. Obviously, first and foremost, I think a lot of them have reached their peaks. Maybe they're not good enough anyway. We've known for many years, over many managers, we get a bit of hope and then we say, okay, the players are not good enough. We've gone in that cycle over and over. So I think, yeah, first and foremost, they're not good enough. And at the same time, the manager as well, we're not having a manager that can get the best out of them. Maybe you can say, set them up in the best wing and maximize the potential of what we do have left in any sort of quality that's left in these players. So I think, yeah, the overall whole setup of United from a coaching point of view, maybe they don't have faith in the coach as well. So you're not going to get the best out of anything that's there. And then at the same time, these players are not good enough. They're not good enough.
I would say, think back to the time that you saw the best out of these players. How were we playing? What were we trying to do? And is what we're trying to do now anything close to what we were trying to do when we saw the best out of these players? Because Rashford's had his 30 goal seasons, not 30, but like 27, 28 goal seasons, 10, 15 goal assists in a season. Bruno's done the exact same. A lot of them might have been penalties, but the reality of the situation is we haven't had a system where we've played to the strengths of the players out on the pitch. I couldn't tell you when, and we haven't had a cohort of players whose strengths and weaknesses complement each other in a way where we can play to the strengths of each and every player and hide their weaknesses. So the problem is, of course, when you're going counter-attacking, Rashford might look a little more decent than he usually does. When we're playing counter-attack, Bruno might look a little more sound than he usually does. But you know what else is going to happen? McTominay is going to look fraudulent. He's going to look like he did. No, Lord knows what he's doing. Lindelof, he's going to look real suspicious at times. Garnacho, he doesn't have, other than the first 5 yards, he doesn't have that much pace. And his decision-making isn't great if we're being honest about it. So he might not look that great either. So, it's just one of the...
I totally agree. And it's why I've said for such a long time that I understand people don't like Rashford and Bruno. And they get a lot of criticism and they deserve a lot of their criticism. But this idea that just selling them is going to fix us, which many people have made that statement, are wrong. because it depends on who we replace them with. If we continue to put square pegs in round holes, continue to try and play a style of football that we don't have the personnel for, and some of the even today, still we're playing compact. The amount of times one little ball through the midfield and KDB had acres of space still. And I know KDB's intelligent. I know I'm going to peel off here. But the fact that we're playing a low block, conceding too much space to a player of that quality is a system issue. So the fact that gets ignored sometimes, like certain high quality players we always get told, for instance, Enzo Fernandes, high hype, loads of ability. It's the system and the manager that's making him look bad. When you're not as rated technically, it's always on you. Well, surely having a poor system is going to hurt the less talented players more than the more talented players, like in any other walk of life. You know, if you're a bad teacher, the clever kids will still be okay. The kids that are not so clever are probably going to be hurt more by a bad teacher than the smart kids, right? I think the same works here. Viewers, get your comments in. I want to know what you think of Phil, but City fans, Hamza, 3-1 victory in the end. Susceptible to them counter-attacks. Talk to me about your performance today.
I think I was impressed with the performance. I think you guys are saying negative things about, like, we outplayed you, outclassed you. You didn't have the ball possession. You had 26% ball possession. We had more shots on target than your ball possession. We had 27 shots and you had 26% ball possession. And yeah, you guys are coming here as if you played well. And it was men against boys. We pinned you back. You had one game part.
I need to stop you there. Who said we played well?
I think you guys are trying to say, oh, if other teams played against City, they will take advantage. You're trying to downplay City. City absolutely rattled you today. You guys were lucky. You got a lucky goal.
I want to confirm, you don't think City have a problem against counter-attacks at the moment?
I think that's a fantastic goal. I've seen goals like that. You can't.
Okay, forget the goal. Forget the goal. I want a straight answer, because I want to answer. You don't think that City right now have any issues and being susceptible to counter-attacks?
Because we risk it by playing a high line. But this one, there's many opportunities that you guys, when you had that opportunity, we could have cleared that. But that was a fantastic world-class shot. There's no one could have stopped that. And Rashford, that's a brilliant shot by Rashford. But after that, you had nothing in your game plan. You had nothing. You just sat back. In your whole game, you had 280 passes. Probably one of the lowest number of passes in the last 5 years. We outplayed you, outclassed you. We just didn't finish our chances.
Hamza, I need to stop you for a minute. What you're saying is true. You did outplay us and outclass us. But you're saying it as if we've said something to the contrary.
I'm hearing a lot of United fans saying, excuses about their team or the squad that they had.
We're talking about why
anybody said that here.
No one has said that here. We're on this panel. Forget what other channels are saying.
Stop the Twitter bullshit.
No one has said that here. No one here has said that you guys weren't better than us. I don't understand what you're saying.
You said that you think that Liverpool can let Liverpool with Bobby Clark. And this guy.
Again, my opinion is, I think you guys are sensational. My opinion is, a better team, if they get the 10 counter-attack opportunities that we had today, a better team than Man United could score more goals.
To be even Nottingham Forest.
Okay. You're not listening. Answer my question, please. Just answer my question. Do you think a better team than Man United, if they had the counter opportunities that we had today, do you think there's a chance that more than one goal could have been scored against you?
We could have, but I think we played with a game plan.
So you agree with exactly what I've said then? So why are you challenging it?
We set up in a way. We knew that your attack is poor. We knew it. We knew.
So you conceded those counterattacks against us because you knew we wouldn't score?
Because we knew United are poor up front. Cool. We knew United are poor up front. We knew you had lacked chances. You did not create any chances, main chances.
So again, where I think you're missing this, you are right. We didn't have the shots today, but this is, again, I do think you're missing the point that I made. We didn't have the shots, but so many of them were because the final ball was poor or the first touch from the attacker that had the opportunity were bad. I don't think Liverpool's front line, I don't think Arsenal's front line, I don't think Tottenham's front line, I don't think Villa's front line are as poor as we are today. All I was making the point around City is you're amazing, I said. But there's that, what makes the title race amazing is that there's that slight vulnerability on counterattacks. For you to deny that the vulnerability for City on counterattacks at the moment, I think you are burying your head in the sand like an ostrich.
But same as Liverpool. How many chances
Liverpool, yes,
did
no,
Nottingham
Liverpool do,
Forest have?
and
They should
Liverpool
have
do, and
buried them completely.
Liverpool do, and I've called Liverpool out for that as well. The only team who are not conceding that level of chances on counter-attacks is Arsenal. But then you two have a winning pedigree over them, which helps you. I don't think I've said anything that's unfair or wrong. So I
think City played that style against. We played against Chelsea because we didn't think that Chelsea's attack are quite threatening, and your attack are not quite a threat.
Okay, so when you go up against Arsenal and Liverpool's, you won't concede. You won't concede counterattacks against those better teams.
Yeah.
Okay,
like I'll give you an example. We did not have two midfielders. Kovacic and Rodri will play in those games. Kovacic and Rodri will sit there to nullify their midfield, and it will stabilize the midfield. But against you guys, we thought, hold on. We knew defensively you're poor, attackingly you're poor. We have to take advantage. And we pinned you back. You had one game plan that Ten Hag said. Just kick and run, and hopefully you get to one of those guys. And Rashford had absolutely an amazing shot. But to me, when City had the ball, they were a threat constantly from the beginning. We had chances like Haaland, Mr. Sitter. Doku had a chance. Foden had a chance. KDB just missed twice.
We know that. And again, Hamza, I'm just telling you by the tone of your voice. You're acting like we've said you were lucky or something, and no one has said. That's why the way you're saying this is crazy to me. You sort of said the reason why we're talking about our team is because City are amazing. So you didn't do this to us today because if we were amazing and you were amazing, you beat us 3-1, and all we were doing were slagging off our players and our style of play. I can understand it. Yeah. But you're so much better than us. We're talking about it from our perspective that we need to improve our players. Because if we had better players and a better manager and a better team, you wouldn't outplay us like that all the time. But you did. So that's why we're reflecting on our club. That isn't disrespectful to City. It's talking about things from our perspective because we're looking at it from our point of view. V, what are you saying about today's performance?
First and foremost, City fans were a humble fan base. I want to say shout out to Eric Ten Hag and Manchester United. That was a fight that I did not expect. I thought it was going to be very defensive, but I didn't think it was going to be you guys scoring in like the 8th or 9th minute and then really having those chances. Now, the reason why I think Professor Hamza is kind of like, guys, let's kind of keep it a little balanced and forget my man on the side with the platinums. But he said that you guys could have went into the half 2 or 3 up. And this is where myself and Professor are like, well, slow down, because Foden missed the chance. Haaland missed the chance. Let's not look at your missed chances should have been goals and City wouldn't have had theirs. So I think it was still a balanced game. We might have had, 8, 10 cross opportunities or I think corners in that first half as well. Like we were pitting you guys down and obviously we weren't scoring. Onana had a very good game in my opinion. I agree. I think Bruno played well. Bruno was, again, the way he was releasing those passes, and yeah, if Rashford was a little more calmer, I think you probably get 2 or 3 goals from him alone. But the game overall, this is a derby. This is a derby, and I didn't expect anything else. I got the hood on for 2 weeks in a row. I just want to get the win and go. I don't care. It could have been 1-0. It could have been 2-1. I just want to get this game healthy and leave because I got Liverpool next after the Copenhagen game. But guys, we don't give you those chances if we think that you're that dangerous. This is the point that we're trying to say. Pep set us up, and again, very committed. Almost, there was a point where I saw Diaz and Ake wide, and Walker and everybody were up on the pitch. Like, we don't commit that way if we think you're that potent, that dangerous, that venomous. So I think, yeah, you guys had your shots, but we put ourselves there to chase the goal, essentially, because we're a goal down. When we play Copenhagen, when we play Liverpool, I don't think we play the same way. I don't think we set up the same way. But this is what we do. This is what City have to do. Well, 3 unanswered goals. 3 unanswered goals to keep this 3-horse title race into the mix. I know everybody and their mama was rooting for City to lose today or drop points. We continue on. I think the title gets decided against Liverpool next weekend.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to be very intrigued to see your games against Villa, against Spurs, against Liverpool and Arsenal, and see whether or not you can see counterattacks. I personally think
Terry, don't see why are you doing that. Of course, there's gonna be counterattacks that we're gonna have to take on.
I know
that's part of the game.
And my point is that's where your vulnerability has been. So I'm excited as a football fan to see how those better teams in attack do against a team that's conceded. I just don't understand why there's controversy around this. You guys are conceding chances on the counter attack. You attack teams. You play with a high line. You are not going to sit back deep at home against Arsenal. You may sit a little deeper away at Anfield. That is granted. When you play Spurs, you're not going to sit back in a low block.
Yeah.
When you play Villa, you're going to have a high line against Villa. I don't understand what
I'm sorry. Like,
it's so controversial.
No.
Yeah,
but
I'm sorry. Like, Vader, everything you said was like, I'm vibing with. I hear you. But to say that, like, I completely disagree with the. We just knew you were going to miss those chances.
No, I did not say that, Cam.
But that's what it's giving. That's the vibes both of you are giving. Like, we just knew you could have like a bunch of.
Are you guys clinical though?
And you guys
are
listen,
clinical.
Listen, here's the thing though. I hear you. You're right. We're not. But to say that we were cool to give up a couple 1v1s, that's crazy, man.
No.
I love it.
Like
I love it. Yeah. You ever see that video? There's that guy, he's an MMA fighter, and he starts hitting himself in the chin. He says to his opponent, hit me. He hits him once and nothing happens. Goes, hit me again. The second time he hits him, uncontested, it knocks him out.
Yeah.
There's no way City would go into go on, United, run through on goal. I bet you don't score.
Because Pep lacks control. Pep lacks control. So he's not
exactly. We're being sarcastic, but I think it's what makes the title race so interesting. We've got some super chats here I want to do. Ask Hamza if those fans saying United were good are in the room with us right now.
No, I just thought beginning people were trying to make excuses that you didn't have a good team. If you had a better team than this, you would have taken advantage. I thought
hang on. Hang on. Then you got to listen to the logic. If Man United were an exponentially better football team, would we have a better chance of beating you?
I've seen your good side.
No. Answer the question. If Man United were better, does that give us a better chance of winning a game?
Probably, yeah.
Exactly. There's nothing wrong with that statement. You know,
but I just accept the defeat.
Hamza, let me ask you a question. If I am as fast, if not faster than Usain Bolt at his pomp, would that give me a better chance of beating him in a race than now?
Yes.
Exactly. So Man United fans saying we want a better team.
Oh, why didn't you praise us? Like the way we suffer.
We're talking about our
we're not going to praise
a Man United fan saying I want a better team, so we have a better chance of beating City. Is not disrespecting City.
But the way you guys praise so much about Arsenal, how they play, how they win. You can see against a derby. We had to respect you.
I literally, in my opening monologue, I said you're the best team in the world. Hang on, Hamza. I said you're the best team in the world. I said how amazing Phil Foden is. I spoke about the amount of times I've praised your football club in the last 7 years is unbelievable. But for a second, Man United fans are a little bit indulgent, self-indulgent, and say, I really want my team to be better. And Hamza says, fuck you, talk about my team. That's mad. That's the madness, brother.
That's what Chris told. I literally said Phil Foden.
And Hamza, do you know what it is? The fact we didn't expect to win shows that we respect City. The fact none of us expected to win. There you go. So
we were happy with 2-1.
But we should, you know what topic we should be talking about? Like the topic that should be talking about. How incredible is Pep Guardiola able to motivate a team in his 4th season? Hamza,
I don't like saying these things on live in front of an audience. That's what you're here to bring. The panel come and give their opinions and start talking points. It isn't on me to sit here and put the words into everyone's mouths. You come here and go, guys, I want to throw this out there. But you didn't. You come on here and said, why do Man United fans want to be a better team? He's crazy. You brought it up. No one else did. Let's do some more of these super chats here. Don't hit the 10-year mark of no league titles, leading to a fall from grace. Liverpool 30, Arsenal 20, United 10 plus, Chelsea approaching 10. One must break the hoodoo. Well, Liverpool already have broke the hoodoo. They Liverpool not 30 plus years now. But yeah, look, we do. We need to fix up Man United 110%. Pep should play 10 men behind the ball next 15 plus games and see what you guys want to say. Terry, team's been playing counter-attack food, meaning it's football, against us for 7 years. City playing with 10 attacking players. Now, I understand that, but I just feel in recent weeks you've been more vulnerable to the counter-attacks, which is unlike City to be as vulnerable regularly in games and those opportunities presenting themselves. You're normally more like Arsenal are right now, where it's almost impossible to penetrate your lines, and that isn't the same at the moment. And I think that's what's makes the title race so great. But you are winning still because you're the best team in the world. Is that enough? Is best team in the world good enough, Hamza, or do you want one of the greatest teams ever? I'll say instead of best team in the world, one of the best in the world ever. Is that better?
They didn't like the Arsenal comment. They didn't like that Arsenal.
I didn't like that Arsenal
it.
comment.
Yeah, I do it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize massively.
Hamza, can I just ask? Sorry. Do you think City was shocked by the start that we got with that goal, because they weren't expecting it? And to be fair, I know you've said like, oh yeah, we let you come through on goal. We made all those jokes and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, we did break through. Terry said, there was sort of 10 counter attacks, I think it was, that United did get put together, which didn't come to fruition in the end because of the fact that the player played the wrong pass or headed it down or whatever it was, or Rashford missed those chances. If Højlund's there, we could have been 2 or 3-0 up in the start. I'm not saying overall your performance wasn't good, but I think that with the chances we created at first, we could have had a stronger lead with that than that 1-0, because until Foden scored that goal, you were making chances, but you weren't actually breaking our defence down. So we set up, yes, to defend part of the bus, call it whatever you want. But at the end of the day, the counter-attacks we were getting through, we were getting 3 or 4 players, and maybe the right pass here and there, we could have brought you down. And I think that we shocked you a little bit at first. I think half-time, obviously Pep's gone in, made some changes. Foden's come over to the left where he's got more success in the second half sort of thing. He has made changes. He's had to make those changes. So you didn't come out, you come out with all your chest puffed out and stuff. United came out expecting nothing from this. And at half-time, everyone was kind of a little bit like, oh, what's going to happen here? So I think you're a little bit shocked, and this little bit of bravado that you're saying, "Oh, we were better, we were the best team in the world." We're not. We at the moment, your team are playing one of the best teams in the world, but they do put a lot on a lot of their forward play. They are taking risks at the back, which other teams will definitely do better than. If we'd have had Rashford last season or whatever, when he was scoring his 30 goals, or if you go back only 2 or 3 games, it doesn't matter who we came up against, we were scoring 3-4 goals a game. We were playing much more attacking football with Højlund, where we knew we could have that strength. We could take the chances with Rashford on the left and Garnacho on the right. And we had today, we had to set up with the personnel we had available. So yeah, you might have played further forward, but that could have gone against you, big style.
I think if you had Højlund, we would have taken more advantage of you, because that means less man in midfield, and we would have dominated you in midfield. And I think Pep would have then played Rodri and Kovacic.
Same formation. We're just talking different players. Or maybe we might have had a little bit more out to the wing and not quite as much in the middle. But at the end of the day, we're saying, that one player who was a massive player for us. When you think at the end of the day, we start, is Rashford a centre forward? No, he's not. For the last 3, 4, maybe 5, 6 years, he's been playing on the wings. He's not been playing as a centre forward. United haven't got a centre forward at the moment who is fit and ready to play. When you look at the team that City are putting out, the bench that you've got, the amount of the quality that you've got in the team, I think you expected a lot more from that game today. And you're actually going, yeah, we walked off there. We smashed them.
Lindelof, like mad, yeah.
I think one thing though you said there, Phil, that's kind of key when we talk, and then Hamza kind of followed up saying, well, we'd have less control in the midfield. Did you watch Scott McTominay in the midfield? There's no, like, to be fully fair, like, there's no Scott McTominay, like, he was roaming all over the place, playing in this weird false role.
Didn't know where
to have Rasmus, Scott McTominay's not there. You have Bruno and Cass sitting. You now have way more control. Actually,
and Scott McTominay, in fairness to him, he was the architect of most of our counterattacks falling apart. And some of the passes he had to make weren't even difficult. Sometimes it was just hold the ball up, stick your backside into the fullback and wait for some support. And he lost it every single time. And in my opinion, Højlund does a better job and still would have probably lost the game. Still probably would have lost the game because City are one of the best teams in the world, one of the best English sides ever. But again, that's probably what frustrated me as well. If we'd have been more trained and coached to playing like this away from home against these better sides, we haven't really tried to do. That's why our record away from home against the better teams is so poor, because we play far too openly, far too expansively, and we're not drilled well enough and coached well enough to do that either. So we're just this in between side.
And also, side note, really quickly, if we're in the realm of what could have been and ifs and buts and cherries and nuts and all that malarkey. When we got Ten Hag, I remember I saw a bunch of Ajax players saying that Ten Hag is great if his plan A works. His in-game management and the substitutions and the changes that he makes inside the game, though, you guys will find out for yourself what it is for real. And over the time, we can say if we went up 2-0, then we would have went out and closed it. But what happens when Pep inevitably makes that in-game adjustment? How does
do you want to know how true what you're saying is there? Whenever we go 1-0 up, I become more worried.
Yes.
That's weird. You should never. And you see Man United fans agreeing. Whenever we score first, I go, "Oh no!" My brother says, "Why aren't you celebrating?" Because now I'm really worried. It's genuinely, it's the weirdest feeling being a Man United fan right now. I'll do some more super chats in a minute, but I wanted to bring up a certain player. I mentioned him earlier on. Phil Foden today steps up again, 2 clutch goals, 2 amazing goals, really, to give you the 3. I know it was rounded off by Haaland, but Phil Foden again today demonstrating why he's one of the best players in the Premier League.
Yeah, I got to get into my press conference mode. Listen, Phil, he's that guy, and he's been that guy. Terry, when you've had me on post matches and I've had to quote unquote defend him or prop him up, I don't need to do it. All I'm going to refer to is look at his performance today. And it's been so consistent this season. I've said it before. Everybody wanted to talk about this man and say he's not him. He shouldn't have been considered the star boy. He shouldn't have been considered so good. But they went after him last season because of an ankle injury and appendicitis. They went after him when he was most vulnerable. Now you're seeing at this point of the season, he's already scored more goals than he has in his career. In one season, at this point, he's already scored more. And what did he do today? He scored the goals that mattered, right? Yeah. He scored the key goals that mattered. And even before the goal, when the ball was to his foot, I was calm because I knew he was going to make the right decision. I knew that it was going to be a settling down and it was going to be tactical. So if you want to keep chirping about Phil Foden, go ahead, take your shots. But it makes no sense when you see a player like him playing. And we're going to have to continue to rely on him because in all honesty, we know that the life cycle of a footballer, it goes like this and it goes like that. We only have so many years left with KDB. And we're seeing right now, you saw the guy, the man of the match. The man of the match is the successor to KDB. Hands
17 non-league goals. He scored 17 non-league goals. Non-penalty goals. Like that, the only player who scored more goals than him is Oli Watkins and Haaland. He doesn't take penalty like Saka. He doesn't take penalty. Saka's got a third of his goals.
You didn't have to mention him. You didn't have to mention him.
Because that's a comparison that triggers people. A lot of people use this a lot. And when I say
but they shouldn't be compared though.
And just very quickly on the penalties though, you, when it comes to Haaland's goal record, have you minus his penalties from that though?
That's scoring 50.
But hang on, but Haaland's goals, do you minus his penalties?
You can minus it, but it's still 40 something. But he scores 50.
But do you minus it?
Yeah. No, for a winger, people look. No,
you can't minus Saka's and then not minus Haaland's.
Come on, Hamza.
No, I don't.
Better than that.
Terry, let me just land a bit.
I can't let you land in shit, bro. I'm trying to help you here.
No, because Terry, I said a very factual statement. Facts. Not 17 non-penalty goals. Only Watkins and Haaland. Incredible strikers.
Yeah.
He has been carrying Man City. The question is, I said to people, when you're playing for a good side, I'll give you an example. It's hard to stand out. When Cesc Fabregas left as a legend at Arsenal, went to Barcelona, what was he in bench? Because there's Xavi, there's Iniesta, there's Messi. You can't stand out. You can't. So Foden is unfortunate to have KDB, Bernardo. This will be one of the greatest players ever. So this year, everyone said he has to step up. He stepped up. How many players around the world are carrying a team? When are we going to have conversation about this guy's a generational talent? Wayne Rooney, Gaza, him, Bellingham. He should be in the Ballon d'Or list. Him and Bellingham. You should be doing PR for the Premier League for him. But we fight here.
Calm.
Fight for English player.
Let him cook. Relax.
I'm going to shock you all. I agree with nearly everything Hamza said there, barring the minus in the penalties off Saka, crazy, and the carrying City. I believe he should be talking about as a generational talent. I think he is amazing. However, carrying City's too far. Let's not pretend like Rodri, like John Stones,
Silva.
like KDB, like
Bernardo.
Haaland. Not also Bernardo been performing. Now, Foden has stepped up and scored some massive goals, which is huge. But it's not as though he's scoring. Who did the 1-2 with him today?
What do you mean? With Alvarez?
Exactly.
Alvarez.
His teammates are helping him as well. The only thing I disagree with, I don't think Foden's carrying your team. Your team is full of a number of world-class players, and many of them. Like, I think Rodri's on something like an unbeaten run when he's played for City in nearly 60 games.
Like 50, 58 or something.
So
undefeated in an entire year.
More,
entire
but everything else you said, Hamza, I agree with. He is a generational talent, and now he's getting that starting berth more regularly and that key role. He's flying.
I've got a little question there. We've got summer. We've got the European Championships, and I think Gareth Southgate was actually in the crowd as well. Who does he go with on the right? Saka or Foden?
Well,
He's wasting Foden if he puts him on the right. He's wasting Foden if he puts him on the right.
Where should Foden play, in your opinion, V?
I think he needs to play central for England
instead of Bellingham.
Yeah.
Why can't you play Bellingham, and Rice? Why can't the three of them be in the midfield?
Yeah.
You can probably in some games. I don't think you could have two attacking midfielders in all games, but I think that works definitely in some.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I want him to play Phil Foden. I think he's absolute quality. Pete here says, "Here comes the shameless Hamza. You got him, Terry." Listen. Hamza's a great guy. I don't believe in discounting. I defend KDB on it. Some people say some of his assists don't count because they come from free kicks and corners. Like crossing balls. Crossing balls is spamming balls.
That's crazy to me.
You can't say that.
I think it might have got. Sorry, Terry. I think it might have got lost in translation. I think
It didn't get lost in translation.
Give me a chance.
Speaks perfect English.
Give me a chance.
We understood him clearly.
Give me a chance. No, because I've attended a few of his lectures, and if you don't attend, maybe you might have missed how he breaks things down. The difference between Foden and Saka is what he's trying to emphasize. The goals that Foden has, they're not penalty goals. That he wasn't talking about overall. Is this when you're comparing the two players? Because maybe it's not on this panel today, but in the football spaces and all that kind of stuff, the conversation's always Saka and Foden. And look, Foden's doing his thing, and they're not penalty goals. That's
again though. But I would counter that and raise it this: you can't attack Saka because he's the best penalty taker at Arsenal just because Foden isn't the best penalty taker at Man City.
Exactly.
It's like this is where I defend KDB. Somebody go, yeah, but so many of these assists come from corners and free kicks. And my favorite player, who's got loads of assists, it doesn't matter who it is, doesn't take the corners and free kicks. Well, that's because he wasn't the best in his team at doing that. You can't take them away from KDB because he's brilliant at that attribute.
No, I hear it. It's the same way. It's the same way because Holland actually he defends our corners, whereas most strikers will often be the
and Hamza, you've just discredited one of your own players again because you said Saka just scores tap-ins.
I said Foden scores
and come on, you've come on him. You said he scores tap-ins, and you've come on him many times defending Haaland because most of his goals are what tap-ins.
No, they're not.
No, they're not. And tapping goals are extremely.
He had a tap-in today, though.
Otherwise, everybody would be scoring tap-ins if they were easy to find that space. So again, Hamza, in your attempt to discredit Saka, you've gone and screwed Haaland twice in one show, bro. Come on, think outside the box. This is not TikTok.
No,
it's not TikTok. We speak back here.
But what was Wayne Rooney good at? Like great players,
everything.
Everything. No. You carry United in big games. Foden has carried Everton, scores clutch goals. I've seen this guy. Leipzig, we were losing, comes back, we win that game. Today, again, a belt.
What, Hamza, do you mean like Foden's been more of an engine to a degree? Like, is that what you mean? Like the team? Because obviously when De Bruyne was out, there was a big concern for City.
Yes.
So do you mean in that kind of aspect where Foden stepped up and he was a bit of the engine of the team? He helped everything. I think that's what Hamza means.
I don't think you should compare Foden to Foden.
Yeah, so I was just astonished as to why Rooney was mentioned here.
Foden is a clutch player. I care about the language. I don't think carrying City is the right phrase when there's so many players that make City what they are.
Okay.
Even when they're not at their best. Like, he's
Talisman.
been an influential
Okay,
player.
let me say this.
There's no doubt about it. It's like when Man United were great, Paul Scholes and Giggs and Beckham and Neville, and they didn't, not one of them carried us. Collectively, they were brilliant. That's why we won so many trophies, and that's where City are for me.
At this point, I think what we can say is Foden's been our most consistent player the entire season.
Your best player this year.
Exactly. So when Rodgers been out suspension, when KDB's been hurt, when Haaland's been hurt, it's when Silva's been out for a few games injured. You talked about Stones. Foden has been that steady player all season long.
There's got to be some balance in the conversation, though. That's the problem. Like you lose your point when, like, listen, I actually agree. Foden's a generational talent. I actually agree he's been the best player for City. But then when you start going, oh, he's as good as Gaza and stuff, like nobody wants to hear that because it's bullshit. So like you've got to like.
I don't say that. Is professionals are saying that. Rio. These guys are world class guys.
You're legend. Rio said it.
I get that, but you're here to but you know, Rio Ferdinand said some other crazy stuff as well.
That's what I'm saying.
What we want is
put the contract down.
What we want is your opinion. Does that make
Rio
sense?
said Arteta would coach Man United. Okay.
I'm gonna do some more super chats here. I wonder if Neville will label United £1 billion bottle jobs for losing a lead in that manner. What I will say is this: we didn't just lose it to a team full of City kids in a depleted squad. If we had done, maybe you would. Plus, we didn't spend £1 billion in the last 2 summers. But no, he won't do that. But let's not act like Gary Neville hasn't ripped United for the past 2 or 3 years. Plus, many.
He's sick of doing that, honestly.
City fans do you know what though? I've just been sent this quote from Ten Hag during the game. He's come out and said, "Oh my God," he has come out and said. The performance was really good overall. This guy, I got called out this week for saying he was delusional. That literally is delusion saying that.
He didn't just say that. He also said that 5th place could get you in the Champions League. So we got to fight for every position.
That's true to a degree. Yeah, and it could be a parting gift for the new manager. I'm telling you. I never cared about the Ballon d'Or for Scholes and Giggs. Why are others so obsessed with it? Why the need to accelerate for acceptance? 115. It's an interesting one. The Ballon d'Or. Growing up as a kid, I never cared about my players winning it, but I don't care about. Well, listen, we saw this week awards. All I've seen for the last 2 or 3 years, when it's come to Ballon d'Or, people talking about it's all about PR and publicity. It's not the. We've seen so many awards in the last few years where fans have called out the validity of it and did that person really deserve it. I've always felt that the awards were like that. It's why growing up as a kid, no one ever really cared to a certain degree. There were times where people were like, wow, it's crazy. The fact that Henri didn't win it in 2004 was an absolute or 5. It was a scandal. So that's why it doesn't really matter. It matters what they do in big games, in title runs and the trophies they help win. That's the barometer of great players. It always has been. In football, it's only the last 3 or 4 years that people start caring more about individual awards and actually delivering in title runs. Scholes just said Foden is better than Lampard 3 times in a discussion. Do you agree? Technically, as a football player, he's better than Frank Lampard. There's no doubt about it. He's technically better than Frank Lampard on the ball. When you start looking at what he's won, what he's achieved, you can start to argue it. He's won more league titles. He's won. Did Lampard win? No, Lampard couldn't have won 2. He's won a Champions League. He's won a treble and been integral. At his age as well. The only thing he's not better than Lampard at doing is scoring goals. Lampard, in terms of scoring goals, is the best midfield player the Premier League has ever had in terms of scoring goals. But I think you could genuinely make an argument for Phil Foden being a better midfielder. However, Lampard was what I would call a proper central midfielder. Phil Foden for me is more of a secondary striker, stroke inside forward. So they are very different players. I don't look at Foden as a central midfield player, but technically as a footballer, in terms of achievements, he's up there. He's there. You can't deny it. Like nostalgia can't kick in here. He's up there, no doubt. Watch how Liverpool will go through that Man City midfield. City will struggle if Liverpool go through. City are six from midfield to attack going forward, 6 forwards. I know what you mean. Too many forwards. Yeah. But the City fans are not worried, are you guys? You're not worried.
Nah, we're not going to play the same versus Liverpool the way we played against United.
Pep is renowned for changing his style of play against better teams. Absolutely. You're renowned for it. Aware of aware of Paul into 2020, just highlighting 10-year slump could be anything for big clubs, which is why Arsenal need to break it. Okay, Arsenal didn't. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Arsenal's is growing and growing and growing. Next stream, Ten Hag versus Poch quotes. Who are more crazy? It's true. It's true. City did nothing for most of that game. Players like Doku, KDB, Haaland were appalling. The game changed once United stopped sitting back. Do you agree with that, V? I mean, I would agree. KDB and Haaland were pretty anonymous today.
I mean, Haaland missed that chance early. I think KDB was releasing some passes, and Varane seemed to get his foot onto everything, which was annoying with some of those cutbacks and crosses. But man, like, listen, whenever a team sets up to be so defensive, it's never going to look great. Like, offensively, it's never going to look like we're creating much. But I like how we were so persistent. I like how we tried to put a strangle on that final third. And again, it's difficult. Any team's going to find it difficult to do that for 90 minutes. So when you guys conceded the goal and then didn't want to sit back, yeah, obviously we had more chances, but that's football.
Really quickly as well, isn't it funny that that injury-prone Varane has been our most readily available player all season? He's the one that needs to be shipped off, and seems to me he ain't missed too many games this season. But some reason he's got to go for Harry Maguire.
Look, I actually agree with not upgrading on Varane. We need someone that can try and play he has got a bit of an injury record, but the way some people have went in on him, it's been crazy this year. On KDB's performance, I want to throw this out here because we know this stat's really important for midfield players. He lost possession 29 times today. Shocking.
But it's a high-risk taker. Zidane used to do that.
Okay.
Brother.
Do you want to go into that?
It's just sarcasm. I don't mean it. Joke. It's a joke. It's not real. Still. Terry, bring me on so I can have an open, honest conversation with City fans. Harsh truth will be discussed. United not good enough, but optimistic. We'll get you on next time, my bros. We're getting towards the end now because it's been an hour and a half. Jesus. Imagine if the great Sir Alex Ferguson, God rest, he's not dead. I'm moving on from that one because
Whoa.
Do your
the
research.
greatest manager ever. That's what we're doing. Also, move on. United are the only team that goes down 3-1, still parks the bus, 11-layer bus. Manchester is blue. More anti-football than Atletico Madrid. Well, it's still officially.
No. We should put a defensive line on the halfway line when we're 3-1 down. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. This is how United want to play. Then they should have hired Tony Pulis next. Terrible tactics, not worth. Yeah, or not worth. Yeah, I get what you're saying. If you held City's midfield, you would have won. I said this last time. Without their midfield, they don't win games. I mean, most teams rely on their midfield, my bro. But you're right. You bottled it. Hide your trophies in the basement and never show your faces again. I'm not going to hide Man United's history because we're so bad at the minute. That'd be weird, isn't it? Like, Arsenal ain't won a major trophy for 20 years. You guys still come on, that's weird. About the Walker foul, Walker said he didn't watch the foul back and said he felt it wasn't. Did anyone think Walker fouled Rashford? Anyone on the panel think it was a foul?
I do.
No.
I think it was a weak. I think it was a weak foul. I think anywhere else on the pitch, it's a quick, literally about a minute or two after the goal. It was, I think it was Dallo, a tackle on maybe Silva, I think it was, or someone. Much less. I don't even see what happened, and then they got a free kick from it, and that was like a few moments later. So I think in the moment, because of the position of it was on the pitch, I think he just he bottled it at the end of the day. Rashford did go down a bit easy, but he did clip him. When you see the close-up, if someone's running, I don't care whether you're a professional, whether you're an athlete, whether you're just a normal human being. If you're running down the street, you used to do it in primary school. Your mate's running, you click the back of his foot, he's falling over. It happens. It's natural. You're not superhuman just because you're a footballer. If you're running and somebody clips the back of your foot, you're going to go over. It's simple as that. He didn't make contact, and he didn't even look at it on the VAR. And we've seen goals ruled out against United this season and last season where we'd been to the other end and scored, and they've gone back and go, hang on a minute, you tackled someone 10 minutes ago and that was a foul, so we're going to rule that goal out. They didn't even look at it. It's just gone. So for me, it was a weak foul, but he did clip him and he went down, and it should have just said, look, yeah, free kick, move on, sort of thing.
I think
Rashford's reaction kind of played into the hands of it as well.
Yeah,
I think the problem was how he went down. Like he got shot.
And then
if he had tried to take another step, because you're right,
or something,
you start tripping.
Absolutely.
If he tries to take that step and actually stays up, like at that point, the ref's got to be like, well, he's clearly trying.
Yeah, what happened exactly? Yeah,
right. But instead, he flew down, and the ref's like, I can't do it because you flew to the ground.
Yeah, it's. I look at it. Do you know what's interesting about it? I don't think it's a foul, and I'm going to be consistent because I don't think when Højlund put his arm around Rodri in the box, that was enough to bring him down. I don't believe there's enough contact, and I said that wasn't a foul. So I'm going to say this one isn't. But I do have this horrible gut feeling if that was the other way round, it would have been given. And what I mean by that is it clearly wasn't a handball by Delo, but they were really, really checking it. There was a couple of times that VAR came up on the screen today and they were really checking. And you think that the City players and fans didn't even appeal for those things. And yet you're checking it intensely. I do think if it was the other way around, it would have been given. But no, not a foul for me personally. I don't think it was. And I saw someone here says that Firedly were talking about it. No, and again, how you go down is really important. What I will say, though, is that Rodri dived it later on in the game. Referee said no foul, and we played on, no booking. What does Rodri have to do to get booked? Genuinely.
Oh, he's got 3 yellow cards away to be suspended 2 games. I've been looking at
the referee instantly says, like, throws his arms like, no, like this. He got no foul. And Rodri's flying through the air. Like, no one's calling him a diver.
Sometimes when someone's going to clip you, you have to jump out the tackle. Otherwise, you get injured badly. So
but you don't. Hang on a minute, Hamza. Have you ever been like walking down the street? And you have to like jump out of somebody's way in case you bump into them?
No, someone's trying to tackle. I'm not gonna get.
Have you ever been like in someone's house with children? You nearly step on the kid and you have to get out of the way. Has that ever happened to you? Yeah, it happens to all of us, right? But you don't do that. You don't do that and arch your back like a porn star and fly through the sky, do you? You know what I'm saying, brother? So come on now, Hamza. Do you know what I'm saying? Man, swan like he's skydiving. You don't need to do that. But there we go. But yes, Rodri is. This is Raz is right. Rodri is the god of the dark arts, and he's. I guarantee you, he has a great relationship to referees as well. I bet you that he is, and that's where Bruno gets it wrong. Bruno doesn't do too much that other players don't do, but it's just the body language and maybe even his facial expressions and like there's some sulking. It's true. Like I'm not too far from. When I used to go to areas when I was younger, I used to go out. There was girls that used to go out in Croydon when they used to go out there, and they had something they used to call resting bitch face. All right, which was they're not even in a bad mood, but they look like they're in a bad mood, right? Yeah. And that's what Bruno is. His face isn't resting bitch face. It's sort of resting petulant face or whatever it is. He just looks like he's whinging, but he's probably not saying anything different to what Rodri says. But Rodri just does it in a way where it just seems and appears to be far more polite, far more respectful, and you get away with more. And you build a reputation, and reputation is key in football. But there we go. Look, I want to thank you all for coming on. Congratulations to Man City today. Deserved win. We're back tomorrow. Top 6 show, 5 p.m. Make sure you were all there. Arsenal match reaction in the evening as well. Go check out the squad, though. My brand new football YouTube channel. I've got a great podcast being launched with one of the biggest YouTube stars on the planet. It's coming very soon. So scan the QR code or click on the link below. Go and subscribe to that channel right now. Until next time, everyone, take care. Goodbye. God bless.